So, all right, guys, we are going to go right down into here. It starts out with an intro, but it's 2005, so it's going to be past his playing days. So, I'm going to start out with the first question. So, Marvin asked, what brought you more pleasure? Playing for the North Carolina Tar Heels or the Chicago Bulls? Jordan responds, that's a good question. I would say it was for the Tar Heels. Really? No one knew me until then. That's when the notoriety and everything began with Michael Jordan. By the time I got to Chicago, I was drafted 3, so everybody knew who I was. Everybody knew I was at least decent. Interesting. So he liked being the underdog. All right. He continues with, but at North Carolina, when they recruited me and asked me to attend a university, it was an opportunity to prove myself. Up to that point, everybody had heard this kid is pretty good, but we don't know how good. He came from a small town. He wasn't preseason All-American. He wasn't in the top 10, 100 or the top 100 high school kids. He didn't attend AAU games, and he was not ranked player of the nation. Okay, so he did enjoy being the underdog for sure. Look how much younger he looks back then too. He had just stopped playing about 2 years prior to this. He continues. The University of North Carolina really gave me the foundation that it took to become a basketball player. Up to then, I hadn't been spoiled by the media spotlight. I was still raw. As a result, I had an appetite to prove to everybody that I was a decent basketball player, or at least good enough basketball player to be at North Carolina. That was by far the purest experience for me and the most satisfying. Okay. Yeah, so I'm totally getting what he's saying here because, yeah, he was so spoiled. This makes me think, and I've been thinking this a lot lately, that LeBron James would have benefited from going to college for a couple of years at least. It really would have happened. He would have learned how to be an adult before being spoiled. And it's cool that MJ recognizes this. Okay, back to Marvin. He asked Jordan, did you ever regret missing your senior year? Jordan responds, yeah, because I had a great time in college. It was the first time I'd been away from home. I'd met new people and made new friends. It was an exciting time. It was just fun. Marvin asked, what was the rush to jump out so early? Jordan replies, it was Coach Dean Smith's call. Yeah, I remember this too. He always talks about this. I relied so much on his knowledge. The NBA was an area where I wasn't too knowledgeable. My parents weren't knowledgeable about it either, and it was a great opportunity. Coach Smith felt that if that it would be the best opportunity to me to make it in professional basketball. Once he researched the situation to find out where I would go in the draft, then he started weighing the pros and cons. Interesting. All right, Marvin asked, wasn't that pretty unselfish of him? Because it meant he would lose you next season. Exactly. And Jordan replies with, that was totally unselfish. It's the kind of person that he was. He could have said, you should stay for your senior year. We have a great team with some great new recruits. Kenny Smith and Brad Doherty were coming on. Oh, yeah. Our team was going to be really good, but he felt like, for me personally, going to the NBA was the best thing, and it was the best opportunity. That's how you know he's not just a good coach, but a good man. He was looking out for the best thing for his students, for his players, and no wonder why Jordan has never said a bad thing about Coach Smith ever to this day. All right, Marvin asked, how exciting was it going back this year and watching North Carolina win an NCAA championship again? Oh, so this was in 94, 95 probably. Okay. Jordan replies, I only went to one game in almost 21 years. Wow. one game at Notre Dame that I drove down for from Chicago in my second or third season with the Bulls. Other than that, I'd never been to a Carolina basketball game. To go there and see that the tradition and see that everything was still the same was great. That is cool. The camaraderie, the sport, the former players, the executives, everything was the same. It was good for me to go back, and it was good for my kids to see. That's one of the reasons I went, was for my kids. This is a cool interview. All right, Marvin asked, how did the fans treat you? Oh boy. All right, Jordan replies, well, it was a little different because of Illinois playing in the finals. I live in Illinois. It was the first time Illinois had been to a title game in so many years, but my true heart was in North Carolina. And that's where I think the fans understood that. They weren't bitter that I was supporting Carolina or that I was wearing the Carolina blue. Yeah, I mean, he's got pride in his school, so I totally understand that. All right, Marvin asks, I've read that almost the entire starting team of North Carolina opted to go to the NBA draft, including 3 juniors, McCants, Raymond Felton, and Sean May, as well as Marvin Williams. I didn't know McCants went to North Carolina. That's me speaking. I'm sorry. I personally, mind crime here. I didn't know that McCants went there. Is this good for the players? Jordan replies, is that good? Question mark. I could be biased from the outside looking in. I'm very supportive of the university, and I would like to see them have the opportunity to defend their championship. And in that respect, I think the players should have stayed in school. Just from a selfish aspect, I wanted to cheer for my university. I get that. But I don't have the understanding of what the family situations were like for these players, for sure. Or what motivates them. Sometimes you have to follow your dream. Their decision also depends on what Coach Roy Williams advised them and about what picks they would be. That team had accomplished a lot in winning a championship. That's the ultimate prize. I think what my mother would have told me, as long as you go back and get that degree, then I can understand the sacrifice that you make to leave school. Editor's note, Jordan, who left college in 1984, received his degree from North Carolina in 1996. Yep, I remember that clearly. I think he talked about it in Come Fly With Me, if I'm not mistaken, because I always knew that about Jordan. He did leave early, but he did finish his schooling and got his degree. All right. How am I doing so far, you guys? I used to be the kid in school who, if it was my turn to read a paragraph, I would freeze up and I couldn't read. It's not that I couldn't read. It was that I couldn't read in public. So I'm trying my best here. All right. So continuing on. All right. So Marvin, this guy right here, Mr. Cigar, he asked Jordan, are these early exits from college good or bad for the NBA? He's asking some very interesting questions. All right. Jordan replies, that depends too. I'm a firm believer that a player should be 20 years old or older before going to the pros. That does kind of make sense. At least 2 years of being an adult before you get rich. That would be smart. Anything less than that is potentially bad. You've got a lot of things you have to take into consideration. The lifestyle, just the mental and physical demands of the NBA that these kids are going to be dealing with are tough. And their whole maturity level, not only for basketball, but on the personal side too, has to be taken into account. If I had been a freshman or even a sophomore, no matter how good I was, I don't know if I would have been ready for what I had to deal with in the professional ranks. But you got more and more young guys doing it. I'm a firm believer that something is affected by leaving college too early or not going to college at all. It also, this is me speaking now, it also shows like why the maturity level is different in the NBA now. Because imagine it, these are kids. A lot of these kids are coming out at 18 years old. They've never been an adult. They've never been in the real world. And all of a sudden, they're rich for playing basketball. You know, that's got to mess with your head. I think about like somebody like Michael Jackson or something like that. You know, he was a star from 5 years old. That wasn't healthy for his psyche at all. You know, it's not good to be famous and rich at that young. Anyways, Jordan continues on. As an NBA executive, if you have to invest in a player, you want to see more of the product that you are going to invest in. Since you aren't going to see as many games of those leaving school early, to be able to gauge the maturity of these guys' basketball talent, you're rolling the dice. You are gambling. If you don't gamble right, you're going to be set back 2 or 3 years. That makes sense. Yeah. Now, how does it affect the colleges? Jordan continues. Look at North Carolina. You have to rebuild that team. You've almost got to start up again with all new players. Yeah, it's true. Right after winning a championship. But the impact is even spreading down into the high school ranked kids. Kids that are not really looking at academics. They just want to get good. Yeah, okay. If they can't get into a college, the first thing they're going to say is, well, I'm going to go pro. That may not be the best thing for them. So this trend trickles down all the way into high school. Wow. So he was noticing that all the way back in, well, now 20 years ago. Man, it's crazy. This interview is from 20 years ago, you guys. Please put it in the comments. Have you ever heard this? Have you read this? I don't know anybody who has. All right, continuing on. Marvin asks Jordan, are you saying that kids should not be allowed to go directly from high school into the pros without some kind of college experience? It's going to get interesting. Jordan replies, that's exactly what I'm saying. I'm a firm believer in that. You can argue a lot of different situations from social to financial. Maybe there has to be some type of arrangement between the NCAA and the NBA for those kids who are not financially stable. For them, there will always be pressure for going to the pros to take care of their families. I agree with that 100% too. Yeah, a lot of people, for a lot of these young kids, it's not a choice. You know, I think more so back then than now, especially. They didn't have a choice. They had to get their family out of poverty, and they had an opportunity to make millions of dollars within the next year. Yeah, who wouldn't take that deal? All right, Marvin replies with, what about players like Kevin Garnett, Kobe Bryant, LeBron James? Jordan replies, but you're talking about one player, LeBron James, who's been very successful in his first 2 years. Kobe, Garnett, McGrady, Jermaine O'Neal, all those guys took at least 3 years before they adapted to what they had to do as professional basketball players. Do I agree with that? I mean, KG came out pretty much right off the bat. Kobe did have an adjustment period, but that was more on his coach. LeBron kind of came out splashing. Jermaine, I mean, maybe a year. T-Mac, I don't know. I don't know what my view is on that. I think they would benefit from college, though, if they could financially afford it. I absolutely agree with Jordan on that. All right, Marvin replies, they probably don't know what they missed, but you knew because you experienced college. What's important about staying in college? Jordan replies, you get a chance to mature in college. They get a chance to deal with a lot of issues in college. There's the education aspect too. College teaches you a lot. It teaches you about being on your own, making decisions, and even handling bank accounts. Yeah, the finances is, I think that's very important myself. Eventually, you're going to have to deal with those things anyways. And there's Jordan smiling and laughing with his cigar in his hand. We saw in the more recent interview, the video, Cigar says I'm Cigar. My MJ says he smokes 6 cigars nowadays. Like, that's insane to me. All right. So Marvin continues on and asks Jordan, you mentioned Dean Smith in a very positive way. I've wanted to ask what influence Dean Smith had on you as a young player. That's a very interesting question, because yeah, Jordan does. He speaks to him like almost like he was a father figure. So let's see. Jordan replies, he taught me a lot about the game, not just about the athleticism required to play it. I'm a firm believer that when you come out of high school, you are strictly athletic. Agreed. You've got a lot of athletic talents. Very few players are taught the game the right way in high school. He's cooking here. When you go into these college programs, which was the best thing that happened to me, they are going to teach you all aspects of the game of basketball so you can apply that to your athletic skills and develop them. But once you leave college, you are a complete basketball player. Athletically, you are complete. And you know how to utilize that athleticism. And you know how to play the game within the team concept. You got a lot of these kids coming out of high school who never really had the right coaching. They think they can get by with just athleticism. It's not that way. There is very little teaching in the pros. You don't have time to teach. You've got 82 games in a season. Wow. It's the thing that we talk about with LeBron the most. All the time. We talk about what benefit he would have had if he went to a college program and actually learned the fundamentals of the game. But it didn't happen, and it does show. The maturity in his game and the work ethic in order to master those fundamentals is not there. Jordan obviously had it. He was constantly altering his game. And he was winning with his mind, not just his body. Kobe came out of high school, but somehow he figured it out. I don't know if it was his close relationship with Jordan or what it was, but he focused nonstop on the fundamentals of basketball. And so he kind of broke that mold from high school players. Kevin Garnett, too. All right. So Marvin continues on and asks Jordan, where did you learn your work ethic? Jordan replies, my parents. Marvin replies, people say that nobody practiced harder, and you worked as hard in practice as you did in the game. There were no two different levels. Yeah, I get you. He's always consistent. Is that true? Jordan replies, I was taught to do it that way by my parents and by the way they approached their daily activities. It wasn't half-assed. So I practiced like I played. So when I played, playing was fun, practice is work. You're working on the idiosyncrasies of what your game needs. So when the game comes, you showcase it and you utilize it. Whoa. You build your game on it. Practice wasn't just a place to take time off. You work on things in practice, on shooting, on going left, or on using your left hand. Those types of things to help you get better. This is so cool because Jordan's a quick little tidbit. Jordan's my favorite athlete of all time. A guy named Steve Vai is my favorite musician of all time. And they both say the same thing, except for one is a stage and one is a basketball court. But Steve Vai says the same thing, which is when I'm practicing at home, I'm working on my weaknesses. And when I'm on the stage performing live, I'm embellishing my everything that I already do well, you know? And eventually, if I keep that habit going, then some of those things that used to be weaknesses are now some of the things that become embellished on stage. But you don't work on your weaknesses on stage. You do that when you're working at home practicing. And Jordan basically said the same thing. Practice is work. On the stage, you show off what you do the best. Anyways, moving on. Excuse me. Marvin asked, you were drafted number 3. Did you have any idea before the draft where you were going to go? Were you surprised? Were you disappointed? Jordan replies, at the time, I committed to go pro because of Coach Smith's research. I was projected to go to Philly because Philly was in a third spot. Oh. Back in those days, the draft was based on wins and losses. So at the time, Philly was in the third slot. Billy Cunningham was the coach, and he was a Carolina guy. He said, based on where we are right now in the third slot, Michael won't go less than 3 because we'll be taking him at 3. Coach Smith knew that plan, but Chicago started losing games. In those days, if you lost games, you could move up in the draft. So once Chicago moved into third place, Philly moved to 5th because Dallas was coming in. Dallas was coming in as an expansion team, and they had the 4th pick. I could have easily gone back to the 5th pick, but then I got assurance from Houston that if they lost the coin flip to Portland, they'd take me. Interesting. So that would have sent Hakeem to Portland, and then Houston would have taken MJ. How crazy. Okay, continuing on. It was a coin flip between the top 2 teams to determine the first pick. But if Houston won the coin flip, they said they were going to take Hakeem Olajuwon. Yep, and they won that first pick. And that's exactly what happened. Hakeem Olajuwon went to Houston, and Portland went to its fallback pick, which was Sam Bowie. Wow. So yeah. Wow, well, what a switch up. They wanted Hakeem, they lost the coin flip, and they ended up with the Sam Bowie. Damn. All right. Continuing. If Portland had won the coin flip, they would have taken Hakeem. And I would have ended up in Houston. But the coin flip came up in Houston, and that put me back to 3rd in Chicago. How crazy. So was this pre-lottery time? No draft lottery? Because the way Jordan is describing it here was that it was a direct correlation to wins and losses. So by the Bulls, I mean, potentially they might have tanked at that point at the end of the season in 83. Or that would have still been 84, whatever. The season prior to Jordan getting drafted. Like by tanking, did they just move up in the draft just by tanking at the end of the year? Let me know if you guys know anything about that. All right, so that's how he got to Chicago. Marvin asked, did you have a preference for which city you wanted to play in? Jordan replies, not really. At that time, I just wanted to be drafted. Fair enough. Marvin asked, you were born in Brooklyn, New York. I just want to remind you. Then they're laughing. So that laugh might be that right there. I would probably imagine, because it says lots of laughter. All right. Jordan replies, I don't think New York was in the picture. I don't think they had a pick that year, but at that time, you just want to get in the league. I didn't watch much pro basketball until I got into college, so I wanted to play in the NBA. Much simpler time. All right. Marvin asks, what was your original deal in Chicago? This is going to get cool. Jordan replies, financially? People are going to love this. It was a 7-year deal. I averaged about $850,000 a year. Imagine that. Damn. In 84 too. Okay. The first year's compensation was $650K. There was no signing bonus. We tried to get an attendance clause. They were averaging 6,000 people a game, so we thought, okay, we're gonna ask for an attendance clause. At that time, Jonathan Kovler was the owner. My agent, David Falk, went in and asked for that. Kovler said, we're not gonna give him an attendance clause because if we draft him at the 3 spot, he better put people in the seats. So they never gave us an attendance clause. That is a cool idea though, an attendance clause, because to be fair, no one was going to those Bulls games before Jordan, so they knew they had something here. But fair enough on the owner to say, like, that's why we picked you, was to put people in the seats. So that's part of what we're paying you for. But just imagine that. $650K. We got people making $50 million a year now. MJ's out there busting his ass off as a Bull for $650K. All right. So, and this one looks like he's almost like insulted by something, but in a humorous way. So let's see what that's going to lead to. Marvin asked, so for the first 7 years, you didn't get a raise. And Jordan said, nope, that was my deal. And this is where, this is me talking here, where I always want to bring up to people who, you know, we talk about Scottie Pippen and the deal he signed. Yeah, guess what? Jordan did the same thing, but he never complained about it. He went out and made money on his own outside of the NBA. And either way, even if you're making, you know, an average of about like $800,000 a year, you're still okay. You're still making plenty of money. Could you make more? Absolutely. But that's for the next deal, you know, and Jordan was fine with that. Jordan didn't make a lot of money from the NBA until pretty much the end of his career. The end of his Bulls tenure, that is. All right. So here we are. Marvin replies to that with, were you unhappy about that? Jordan said, no, I wasn't unhappy. Money didn't drive me at the time, so I wasn't worried about it. Once I signed my contract, I felt like, let's go out and earn the money. And I was the highest paid rookie at the time. That's a good mentality. All right. Marvin asks, do you have a happiest memory or a peak moment when you were playing with the Chicago Bulls? Jordan replies, my happiest moment? There were so many. Do you want me to start early in my career? Making the playoffs for the first time was the biggest thing for me because that franchise hadn't experienced the playoffs in a very long time. The fans' attitude was wait until next year, wait till next year. In the third game of my career, we were playing Milwaukee and we were down 16 points going into the fourth quarter. People started to leave. Wait, down 16. Okay. Going into the fourth. People started to leave. That was their whole attitude. The game was over. I'd never experienced people leaving a game like that. It was something new. Everybody at North Carolina stayed until the end of the game out of respect for the team. So yeah, so the Bulls had a loser mentality. I get it. All right. Most of my teammates in Chicago had adapted to the fans leaving and just figured the game must be over. I'm saying, no, it's not over until there are triple zeros on a scoreboard. I got a burst of energy and started to lead the charge. I got the opportunity to prove it's never really over. We came from 16 points down to win the game. Hell yeah. That's when the city of Chicago started to say, okay, something's starting to happen. Something is changing. There's no give up in this kid, no matter what. He's going to keep fighting and fighting and fighting until we win or lose. That's how my first season went. That was the biggest plus for me when we made the playoffs that year. And I guess that's why it was so important that he did that his second year coming off of the injury. He wanted to prove to those fans that when he's on the court, he's going to get this team to the damn playoffs at least. Anyways, continuing on. Marvin asked, when you were playing for the Bulls, did you as a player or as a team ever have any real rivalries, or was it all hype? Oh, okay. Jordan replies, no, we had some rivalries. Early on, it was Milwaukee. We couldn't beat Milwaukee. They were just 45 minutes to an hour away. They were a strong team that constantly kept beating us. Even when we got in the playoffs, they kept beating us. Yeah, Milwaukee's who eliminated them in Jordan's rookie year. Anyways, Jordan continues. Then we got to a point where we started beating them. Then the rivalry went from Milwaukee to Detroit. And that was brutal. Isaiah Thomas was from Chicago, and he wanted to come back and show he still dominated Chicago. I was the new guy in Chicago, and people were supporting the team. It became a dogfight between us. there was some real hatred there. On the floor, it was that whole physicality of the game. And I'm sorry, and that's what was happening on the basketball court. Anybody going into the paint was going to get knocked down. If you got if you got stitches, you got stitches. Absolutely. Those are the types of games we had. But once we overcame them, then we knew we could do anything. There was no one else beating us or having that kind of rivalry with us. Yep, that was it. And we all know that's once they got past the Pistons, that was it. Stacking championships after that. All right. Marvin replies to him, "Your biggest rival was Detroit. Where did the Knicks fit in?" Jordan replies, "The Knicks came later." Yeah, that was their 90s rival. Marvin replies, "Because as New Yorkers, we hated Michael Jordan." You said, "You single-handedly took us down more times than I want to remember." Every time in the playoffs when we thought we could reach the top, you nailed us. Yep. Jordan replies, "Once we started winning and got past Detroit, the Knicks became our biggest rivals. They were trying to get where we were, and we're trying to maintain what we were. Every battle was magnified. Patrick Ewing was a good friend. Charles Oakley used to be in Chicago. John Starks, Charles Smith, Anthony Mason, all these guys. When Detroit was winning, everybody had adopted the physical type of game. New York became that way too. You go in the middle, you're going to get hit. Patrick was a fierce intimidator, and it's so funny to me because they never. It's like once they got over the whole Detroit bad boys thing, next thing you know, we got the freaking Knicks, and the Knicks are doing the exact same thing as the Pistons, but the only difference is this time the Bulls were tougher. They had learned. They dealt with a bully like this before. They overcame it. So the Knicks could never get the better of Jordan. The only time they beat him in the playoffs was when Jordan was retired. Anyways, I'm gonna read a little bit more, and then I'm going to give it a pause here. Marvin continues. What was this rumor about Jordan coming to New York? We always heard that Michael Jordan was coming to the Knicks. We hated you, but on the other hand, we wanted you. Yeah, that's how the whole league felt at that time. Everyone hated Jordan because he was beating everybody. But at the same time, would we welcome him to Phoenix, for instance? Hell yeah, we would. We'll take him in a heartbeat. All right, so Jordan replies, "It was truly a rumor. We had one occasion where there was a dialogue. It must have been in 1996 or 1997 because of my contract situation in Chicago, but nothing ever really materialized." Interesting. I'm sure Mr. Krause has something to do with that too, because he was in such a rush to blow up the Bulls. Marvin, so I mean, that's cool, by the way. That puts that to rest. Was Jordan ever really going to New York? No, it wasn't. All right, so Marvin continues on. But you told me recently that a phone call. Wait, you told me recently that had a phone call come at the right time, you would have been a New York Knick. Oh, okay. So some pushback. Jordan replies, "If Chicago had not made a significant offer, New York was next. We actually had a dialogue with New York. If a phone call didn't come in 30 minutes from Chicago, we were already getting assurances that we would have gone to the Knicks for less money." Wow. So the Bulls ownership and GM almost screwed up Jordan. They almost lost Jordan because of freaking greed. Marvin replies, "How would you fix today's New York Knicks?" Oh shoot. Yeah, 2005 was a rough time. Hey man, Knick fans, you're finally looking good. 2024, 25, you guys are looking good again. Congratulations. We missed the Knicks being a good team. All right. So how would you fix the Knicks? He asked Jordan. Jordan replies, I knew that was coming. I don't want to second guess Isaiah. I'm not taking over for Isaiah as general manager. Marvin replies, no, I'm not suggesting that. What would you do? Jordan replies, they have a tough team. They have a lot of injuries and a lot of big contracts. First of all, you have to find some commodities that you feel will benefit the New York Knicks. But when you do that, you can't just think one way. You have to find some team that feels that the players on the Knicks will be a better fit for the other team. Until you find the right situations for those players, you have to wait until their existing contracts expire or buy them out of their contracts. For the Knicks, it isn't a financial issue. They are still taking on a lot of contracts. And it looks like that might have been him contemplating that question. And Marvin asked Jordan, but didn't they get rid of a lot of contracts too? This is about the cap space for the Knicks, so they're still talking about the Knicks. So Marvin asks, didn't they get rid of a lot of contracts too? Jordan replies, but they've taken on a lot too. They are not going to be under the cap anytime soon. Marvin replies with, which will be the easier option to fix, the Knicks or the Lakers? And that's interesting, actually. This was 2005, so this is when Kobe was all alone out there. Jordan replies, the Knicks don't have any cap space to create a different team. When you look at the Lakers, they may have one or maybe two sustaining long contracts. The Knicks have 4. Marvin replies, so you're saying the Lakers would be easier to fix? Jordan replies, sure, they'd be easier to fix. You can tell he's being careful with his words. All right, Marvin continues on. How would you fix the Lakers today? Jordan replies, I would have never gotten rid of Shaq. This is interesting. I would have never gotten rid of Shaq. It's as simple as that. You've got 3 championships with a big man, and big men are hard to find. Not only that, you have the most dominant big man in the game today. You don't just send him away because you got some problems. And I kind of agree with it too. Jordan never had a dominant big man like Shaq, so he knows how valuable that is. All right, Marvin replies, does Kobe read about what's going on in Miami? Jordan replies, I'm pretty sure he does, but you can't blame one guy. It's a combination of both of them. If you've got success in your house, you find a way to manage so everybody prospers and everybody is viewed as champions. Personalities got involved after they'd had some success. It becomes about individual goals that they wanted to achieve, be it Kobe leading the league in scoring and carrying the team by himself, or Shaq proving he can win without Kobe. What's the purpose of changing if you've got the right mixture that's working? Give me a 7-footer and I'd probably be playing right now. Yep, absolutely. Let's see. I apologize. Give me 1 second here. Okay. All right. So Marvin replies to that. The media has made a big thing about drugs this year. Is this something new or something that was around in the 80s and the 90s? Is it worse today? Is it the same? Is it a serious problem? I don't remember this in 2005-ish, 2004. There being a big drug shock going through the league. Do you guys remember that? All right. Anyways, Jordan replies, drugs have been in the game for a long time. They were there when I was in college and even when I was in high school. It's in life, it's in business, it's everywhere. It starts with the kids of tomorrow and how those kids are brought up and what their values are and how their parents teach these kids those values. If you don't take the time to teach those values, they will make the same mistake. Is it still prevalent in sports? Yes. I love his answer there. All right, Marvin replies, is it worse today than it was 20, 30 years ago? Jordan replies, I wouldn't say that. I wouldn't say it's worse. There is some drug awareness out there. I must admit, it's still prevalent. Wow. But it's not worse. They've tried in the NBA to implement some provisions to monitor drug use, to eliminate it and get rid of it. To some degree, it is working. All right, Marvin responds. It seems like for the first time in football, baseball, and basketball, both on the union side and in management, they are understanding what drugs are and that they have to do everything in their power to stop their use. Was that the case in the past? Jordan replies, no. Drug was hidden in a lot of sports a long time ago. Now it's out in the open, be it steroids in baseball or steroids in football. Steroids have never been prevalent in professional basketball. Well, back then I guess it wasn't. But you got a lot of marijuana smoking and drug use like cocaine. Yep. All that stuff has been in the NBA. We've been able to curtail it and try to eliminate it, but it's very tough to eliminate. I think marijuana is still strong in the NBA. I'd like to see that paid more attention to. I think Commissioner David Stern has done a great job to eliminate all those issues, but no one is going to be able to eliminate it completely. I miss David Stern. And yeah, it's different to think about. 2005, yeah, marijuana wasn't legal, so it was still really cracked down upon. Nowadays, I don't think they do. It seems like a lot of those guys are pretty baked most of the time. Marvin changes the subject here. Let me make sure I didn't miss anything. Nope. Okay. So Marvin switches up with, do you miss the excitement of basketball? Jordan replies, yes, I have to stay away from it. I have to stay away from it because of it. I wouldn't say it's an addiction, but it's a passion. When you have a passion, you want to do it as much as possible. Addiction means you can't help yourself. I have a strong passion for the game of basketball. Wow. Marvin replies, Michael, I'm now giving you the opportunity to create the dream team of Michael Jordan. Of all players of basketball, you're on the team. You can name 4 other guys at different positions. That doesn't mean there aren't 20 other great guys for those positions, but you can explain your picks. All right. Here we go. Jordan replies, that's a very good question. It's going to be somewhat biased because I didn't play back in the days of Will Chamberlain, Bill Russell, and some of the great stars prior to me. And it's very tough because I'm friends with a lot of players today. Yeah, I bet. So let's see. But if I had to pick a center, I would take Olajuwon. That leaves out Shaq, Patrick Ewing. It leaves out Will Chamberlain. It leaves out a lot of people. Yep. I have this, me talking here. I have the same problem when I'm picking my top 5. But anyways, let's see. And the reason I would take Olajuwon is very simple. He is so versatile because of what he can give you from that position. It's not just in his scoring, not just in his rebounding, or not just in his block shots. People don't realize he was in a top 7 in steals. Yep. He always made great decisions on the court for all facets of the game. I have to give it to him. Great choice. Great choice. All right. Going to the 4 spot, power forward. There's James Worthy, whom I love, and he's the North Carolina guy. Karl Malone, Charles Barkley, whom I adore and is a good friend. Sad. I miss those days when they were buddies. And there's Charles Oakley. He's throwing Charles Oakley in there. But in terms, again, of versatility, it has to be Larry Bird. At the power spot, okay. All right. I know he's going to put Pippen in the 3 spot then, if he's making room. That's interesting too. Okay. The things he would provide to you all around, his demeanor, his work ethic, and his versatility. Once again, I can't deny it. And you got Hakeem in the 5 spot, causing chaos in the paint. So you have Larry Bird kind of floating. All right. So he continues, the idea here is I would build a versatile, multi-talented team able to do so many different things. When a defense comes at you, they have to guard a lot of different areas. And that makes Larry Bird the choice for me. I can't argue with that. Small forward. That is the toughest part because I played with one of the best small forwards, Scottie Pippen. He is as versatile as it comes. He handles the ball. He's a good defensive rebounder. I would be hard pressed to pick someone else at the small forward position, even though I know Dr. J is sitting right there, especially in terms of excitement. And there's Dominique Wilkins too. And you'd have to think about Elgin Baylor, even though I never saw Baylor play or played with him. But from what I know and what he could provide, it's Scottie Pippen. I know that's being biased to some degree, but I can't help it. There it is. Yep, Jordan always had Pippen's back, man. All right. To the point guard position. Wait, what about shooting? Oh, shooting guard is MJ. Yeah, okay. To the point guard position. That's easy. Magic Johnson. Because of his height, you'd have a tough time defending him. It's a beautiful thing to see a 6'9" guy rebound the ball and start a break. Absolutely. It would be the all-time tallest team. Putting me at the 2 guard, coming off the bench would be Jerry West to replace me. I love Jerry West. All right. Marvin asked Jordan, who in your mind is the best shooter you've ever seen? Good questions. Jordan replies, best shooter. Oh boy, that's a great question. Pure shooter? Marvin replies, or clutch shooter. I have another one here. Best clutch shooter. You can combine the two if you want. Jordan laughs. Marvin continues, did you ever watch the Big O, Oscar Robertson, play? Jordan replies, yeah, I watched him play. He was an all-around player, but I wouldn't say he was one of the best shooters. But he was one of the best all-around players in the same category as Magic Johnson, which, me talking here, by the way, yeah, Magic Johnson was highly influenced by the Big O. Excuse me. So as the same category as Magic Johnson, who could rebound, assist, and score. Pure shooter, I would say Brian Winters, who played for the Milwaukee Bucks. Whoa, okay. He had the most beautiful stroke of all the people whom I can think of. You can go too with John Paxson, who was next to me in the backcourt of Chicago. Clutch. Yeah, he was. He doesn't have the best form, but Reggie Miller or maybe Jerry West. It's hard picking one. Nice list. And everybody, excuse for my voice. I got some allergies going on today. All right. Marvin continues on. Best rebounder? Jordan replies, Moses Malone. No doubt it was Moses. Awesome. Marvin asked, most unselfish? A real team guy who put himself second, third, last, whatever, just cared about winning, ? Jordan replies, you can think of a lot of players like that in the pros, but to pick one who would have the biggest impact on the game where you had a chance to win, that would be Magic Johnson. So unselfish, team player, just wants to win. That's fair. Yeah, because Magic wasn't so worried about points. He just wanted to do what it took to win. All right. Marvin continues. Best coach. Jordan replies, I played for very few coaches. Good point. Marvin replies, the dream team has to have a coach. Jordan replies, I can't pick Coach Smith. I would take him because of my own preference, but Phil Jackson is by far the best professional coach, and that's a close call with Larry Brown and Pat Riley. Good list right there. I think it would be me speaking. I think it would be too many personalities and egos for Larry Brown to handle. Pat Riley could definitely handle it, and Phil Jackson could definitely handle it. My opinion. All right, moving on. So Marvin asks, where do you think Phil Jackson is going to go? Do you think he'll stay with the Lakers? And Jordan replies, he loves LA and he has a great connection with LA. I think he would consider that. Marvin replies, but he played for the Knicks. And Jordan replies to that, I think it's between the Knicks and the Lakers. Interestingly enough, me speaking here, he did go back to the Lakers shortly after this to coach Kobe to 2 more championships. And then later on, after they let him go, he ended up in New York. So they're both right here. All right, Marvin continues. The Harris poll named you the most popular athlete in America for the past 13 years. And Jordan replies, why 13? Good question. Marvin replies, I don't know. Laughter. Because they've been doing it for 13 years. Is that true? Explain to me why you were the most popular athlete in all sports. That's an extraordinary achievement. Is this true? They've been doing it. They were doing it for 13 years, and every single year it was Jordan. All right. Jordan replies, you ask me and I wouldn't know. My personality is my personality. I'm very real when people see me. That's the way I'm protected. I am as close to normal as anyone could be. In terms of my accolades and the way I played the game, those things had something to do with it, along with the marketability of Michael Jordan. And I didn't quit, and I don't quit. I'm very competitive. I'm a very competitive person that could be taken in a lot of different ways. Some people take it in a negative way, and some people take it in a positive way. All right. Marvin continues. You don't quit. You work hard. You don't speak out like a child. True. There have been players who have gone public with a lot of complaining that ends up hurting them, but you've been fairly pure and quiet. I agree with Marvin 100%. Excuse me. And if they could see how it was like now, good Lord. I mean, now in like 2024, which is about, or 2025, which is 20 years after this interview. All right. So Jordan replies to that. I think things out well. When I speak with conviction. Even if I feel like it's something that best suits me and my person, I deal with it. I say it. I have no problem speaking out publicly about issues, but for personal things and for things about personal selfishness, I wanted more money. I don't do that. Once I give my word, that's it. I don't go back to renegotiate. I don't renegotiate my contracts. Wow. That almost feels like a punch to like Scottie Pippen, you know, after what we know about The Last Dance. All right, Marvin continues. How did you get into endorsements? There have been other celebrities, but you took endorsements and ran with it in an unconventional way on a huge stage. How did this happen? Jordan replies, when I came into the pros, I never knew anything about the business aspect outside of basketball. All I focused on was basketball. The beauty was what my agents, David Falk and Donald Dell, did back in the Bulls days. They took what I did on the basketball court and attached a marketing value to it and connected me to the companies that had the same values that I had from the basketball standpoint. Coca-Cola, Gatorade, Hanes, Sara Lee. I don't remember him promoting Sara Lee. Those types of things. They built a connection from a puzzle that they pieced together because of what I portrayed on the basketball court. He continues, I didn't go into the NBA thinking, okay, now I'm going to capitalize on all these marketing dollars. It just happened. If you ask my agents how they created this mixture, they couldn't tell you. It was just one of those things. We entered the league in an era when the marketing of athletes became prevalent, It became one of the biggest things. Larry Bird and Magic Johnson should have been there first. Their reputations should have given them the opportunity, or should have given them opportunity, but they didn't foresee it and they didn't capitalize on it. Initially, I think it became a sticking point in our relationships because I was getting things that, from a success standpoint, they were entitled to or should have at least had the opportunity to obtain. But the timing was perfect for me. And me speaking here, I think that makes a lot of sense because the whole league was jealous of Jordan in 84, 85, 86. There's a little bit of hatred for him, actually, from the other players. And that was in the form of jealousy. Magic Johnson got the same treatment when he signed that, was it $25-year, $25 million deal. A lot of the league hated him and they were jealous for that too. But that paved the way, just like Jordan paved the way for advertisements and endorsements. All right, continuing on. Marvin asks, it's been 20 years since Nike launched the first Air Jordan shoe, and today it's turned into brand Jordan, a significant business for Nike. How did the relationship happen, and what role do you play today? Jordan replies, I never wore a Nike shoe until I signed with Nike. I wore Converse in college, and I was a big Adidas fan. Then Nike came to me about creating my own shoe. They wanted to put my name on my shoe and let me have input into the design of the shoe. I'd never heard of that before. It was a great pitch. It gave me an opportunity to learn more about the shoe industry, and they gave me an opportunity to create. I sat down with the designers and talked to them about my personality and things that I like and things I feel people may like. We put all those thoughts into a brand, into the Jordan brand, and into the shoe. This is so cool. Things started to change, or things just started to progress. The public adapted to it and accepted it. We continued to create and lead, and the public kept following and following. It has continued for 20 years. We pride ourselves on putting certain values in the products. Determination. He continues. Competitiveness, design, creativity, style. Those are all the things that make up my personality, and they have been turned into a product that sells. The public has received that message consistently, each and every time. That has aided my success of the brand. He continues. Once the brand had evolved into something of significance, we decided to see if we can create its own foundation, separate from Nike. We wanted to give it an appearance of two entities, with Nike as the parent company and brand Jordan as a subsidiary. I was given the opportunity to get involved at a hands-on level, touching, creating, approving everything that has a Jumpman logo on it. We took Nike off the brand and put the Jumpman on the brand to see if the public would receive us properly, and they have. Yeah, I actually prefer it that way. With that move, we have been able to expand not just in basketball, but in baseball, football, boxing, and outside of sports too, like a Ralph Lauren or a Tommy Hilfiger or those types of brands. He continues. Even though Nike was not that edgy and not that stylish, but more traditional, they gave me the opportunity to expand on the more creative stuff. They controlled 80% of the basketball industry, but they knew just because of consumer preference, it would be tough to get more than 80%. So they created this other brand to capitalize and approve the correct way to do it. Very interesting stuff. Gotta get a drink here. Not used to reading out loud story time. Hope I'm doing okay. All right. Marvin asked, aren't you a worldwide brand today? Jordan replies, all over the world, and today Brand Jordan is a $485 million business. Man, I bet that's like 4x'd by now at least. It's got to be in the multi-billions. Marvin asked, do you have any official responsibilities? Are you a corporate officer? Jordan replies, no, I maintain my independent endorser status, but I approve all the decisions for Brand Jordan. Okay, so he's not responsible for it, but he does take the responsibility anyways, and he approves everything. I guess that's why it's been consistent. All right, Marvin asks, do you get a salary and royalties? So as the brand grows, your royalties grow. If you want a junior partner, I'm available. Yeah, me too, MJ. Jordan replies, I haven't seen you in shorts yet. All right, Marvin replies with laughter. I got a feeling if that's a condition, I'm out. Let's move on. When did you decide that the last chapter, or in an important future chapter, you should be an NBA owner instead of just a player or an endorser? Jordan replies, it was an acquired taste. When I came in as a player, I was dumbfounded by the business aspect, but I learned about the business of basketball during the 20 years I was involved. I created an appetite in myself to still have an impact on the game and have an influence on the game from a managerial position. I managed a team for a couple of years. I felt like I did a good job with the Washington Wizards. Contrary to what people may think, because of that experience, I still want to have an impact on a basketball team, but I want to do it from an ownership position. I want to have a long-time connection with the game of basketball. Okay. So, yeah, this was before he was an owner then, huh? Yeah. Wow. And now we've gotten to the point where he's no longer an owner. Okay. Marvin says, is that because you see yourself as a businessman, or because you saw things done by management that were good or bad that you might have changed? Good question. Jordan replies, exactly. Yes, I consider myself a business person. And yes, I felt like certain things happened that if I was in ownership, I would have done it differently. And I would have made decisions totally differently. After the debacle that happened, me talking here, that happened in Chicago in 1998, 97, 98, yeah, I'm sure there's a lot of things he would do differently. There's a level of stubbornness in ownership that you shouldn't enter, or else you get what you get. All right, Marvin says, they say that from every experience, good or bad, there's a valuable lesson learned. What lessons did you take out of the Washington Wizards? Jordan replies, I think it exposed me to a lot of decision making. One of the bad decisions I made was to go back and play. Really? Okay. Even though I was soothing an itch that I had, I also thought I was being innovative in my job by going down and evaluating the talent firsthand. I thought it would be a good idea to play against them, see what their tendencies were, and what they were, and what we were paying for. But at the same time, I became more critical of them because of the way I played the game and the way I'd approached the game. And the players didn't respond to that. They didn't respond to the desire that I had when I was playing. I may just have gotten too close to see, or maybe too critical of certain actions of the players. That was one of the biggest mistakes I feel I made in Washington. Okay. So he's not necessarily talking about like the whole thing was a mistake, but he is pretty aware at this point that his method of play was not the popular method anymore in the 2000s by that point. Oh, sorry, he continues. You go in with initiative, and you go into a program that needs guidance, and you have to find out what the agenda may be. With the Washington situation, there was an agenda. They were well over the cap and they were losing money. Marvin asks, they didn't have anybody coming to the games? Jordan replies, the first thought was, let's reduce the losses. That's what the Knicks and some of these other teams have to do today. You have to get rid of some of the bad contracts so you can create as much flexibility as quickly as possible. That way you can more easily change the team and change the attitudes. Get rid of some of the bad contracts. Yeah. Okay. That way you can more easily change the team and change the attitudes, and get some younger talent and hungry players. You have to get some new people in there. He continues, I feel like we did that in the first couple of years in Washington. We got rid of all the bad contracts and we put ourselves in a position where we weren't losing as much money. We put ourselves in a position to get profitable as quickly as possible. When Wizards owner Abe Pollin decided not to hire me back as president of basketball operations, I felt the team was in a great position. People consider that to be a bad experience for me, but you look at the team and how much flexibility they had and how much room they had under the cap, and they were able to go out and get some of those players. It's true, right around there when he left 2003, 2004, they were able to kind of rebuild successfully after that for a little while there. All right, he continues. I think my management team did a good job helping turn the Wizards around. We may not get the credit, but that's all well and good. We did what we were asked to do, which was two things: help the franchise get back into the financial plus side, which I think they are strong today in that area. And the second thing was build young talent. That's where they are today. They're very successful and winning. 2005, yes sir, yes sir. All right. He continues. Ernie Grunfeld, president of basketball operations, has gone in there and done a great job with the coaching staff and gotten the players together. We look at what they've done, and we gave him a good base to build on. And we will never get credit for that. So people look at that as a negative for me, but it was a learning experience because I did some good things right and a couple of things bad. He continues. I'd like to go in somewhere now with a little more time and with an ownership stake where I can implement my own views about certain things and take a program and make it successful. Yep, so this is before Charlotte. All right, Marvin continues. Do today's contracts, which make young kids instant millionaires, end up slowing down or holding back their own performance because they are so financially secure that they're not giving the kind of effort that you gave to the game? I love this question, and especially this was 20 years ago. So let's see what Jordan's foresight was at that point. Did he see how bad it was going to get? All right. So Jordan replies, values have changed. Those were the days where no matter what you got paid, you played the game to play the game. That's a line right there. Those were the days where no matter what you got paid, you played the game to play the game. I love it. All right. He continues. There are players, some of the young players, who are playing the game for what they are going to get paid. Okay. I get what he's saying there. There are players, some of the young players, who are playing the game for what they are going to get paid. In other words, they'll only give as much effort as what their contract is, what their pay is. So he continues on. I think that has a lot to do with the success of the NBA. It's a very profitable organization. It's very marketable. There's a lot of outside income that can be generated in terms of what's happening on the basketball court. Yes, it has changed, but you still find a lot of players who play basketball for the love of the game, and those players aren't affected by what they are getting paid. Is it wrong of me that the first thing I think of is Kobe Bryant there in 2005? He never complained about money. All right, Marvin continues. Do you have a secret dream of one day waking up and you own the Chicago Bulls? Dude, great question. Jordan replies, I would love to own the Chicago Bulls because of what the franchise provided me. It would give me the opportunity to move it further into a successful program. But I do understand that Jerry Reinsdorf is a good owner. He's a very good businessman. He has a family that enjoys the game of basketball, and I totally understand his maintaining his ownership of the Bulls. All right, I'm going to chime in real quick here. I always felt that Reinsdorf, like the second Jordan retired, should have offered him a deal. Like, hey, let's get you involved. Maybe I'll give you a 5% stake of ownership, and then every single year you're with me, I'm gonna up that up by like, whatever, 2%, 5%, whatever it is, and then eventually when I pass on, it's going to go to you, or whatever deal they have to work out to do it. Or Jordan has to pay a certain amount, but whatever it is, I think Reinsdorf should have known. The fans would have loved to have Jordan involved in the organization. He should have set something up to where Jordan ended up being the next owner once he passed away. I think it would have been the best thing for the city, and he would have still gotten paid because Jordan had the money to pay him. Anyways, Marvin continues. What about other cities? Jordan replies, I would love to... sorry for my dog there. It's trash day, so the trash truck is coming around picking up the garbage. Jordan replies, I would love to look at other scenarios and see what form of economic standpoint best suits me. Yeah, so this is when he was looking for a team to own. Marvin asked, you know what I was thinking? You're going to be involved in a real estate venture in Las Vegas. I don't think they have a team there. Wouldn't that be hot? Wow. So this is 20 years ahead of its time because it's happening now in Vegas. It's going to happen. Excuse me. Jordan replies, I'd love to own a franchise in Las Vegas, but who wouldn't? The opportunity it provides just from being in Las Vegas creates a great economic situation. But it's not just Michael Jordan who would find that attractive. You would find a lot of other potential owners or investors who'd like to own a team in Las Vegas. Will it happen? I don't know. I can answer that now. Yes, it will. Yes, it will. Marvin asked, what's the project you're involved with there? The Aquaview luxury condominium, hotel, resort, and spa. I don't know about this. Jordan replies, a gentleman named Michael Peters came to me, and he is involved in building condominiums. It's a big trend in Vegas. MGM, Mirage, all these companies are doing it. He wanted my association with the project. I told him that my biggest expertise in that area would be to do with restaurants. Yeah, I've done restaurants in the past. I have a company that starts up and builds Michael Jordan steakhouses. So we decided that would be my role in the whole scenario, doing restaurants in that building. That's my connection. Interesting. And I know a couple of you have been to some of those Michael Jordan steakhouses from comments. I've seen one. I took a picture of the plaque outside. I couldn't afford it. It was in New York, Grand Central Station. So I've still never been to one. Do you guys know, are they still around? Are they still open? Because I might have to do it someday, before I get too old. All right. I'm going to keep going for a little bit here, but my voice is starting to give. Marvin asks, also, I read an athletics center. Oh, okay. I get it, like a athletic facility. Jordan replies, that is a concept that we don't know if we are going to follow through or not, but that is one concept we are discussing. Marvin says, in all the press, if you are not involved at all with the casino in that project, is that because it might have an effect on your ability to own an NBA team? Jordan replies, probably, but that's not one of my interests. Marvin asks, talk to me about this little white golf ball. Jordan replies, that's addiction. Now that is an addiction. Oh, man. That's great. Marvin asks Jordan, talk to me about this little white golf ball. And Jordan replies, that's addiction. Now that is an addiction. So he was asking, Marvin was asking Jordan earlier about, is basketball an addiction? And Jordan was saying it's not an addiction, it's a huge passion. So he can stay away from it, which he needs to stay away from it. But it's not an addiction because he actually has the ability to stay away from it. So when asked about golf, he's like, yeah, that's a full-blown addiction. All right, so next question. When did you start playing golf? Jordan replies, I started playing the summer of 1984. I had just committed to go pro, and I went out and played some holes in North Carolina. I went with a good friend of mine, John Simpkins, and he was on a golf team at the time with AI Wood, or Al Wood. I'm sorry. It's 2025 if I could say AI Wood. We played 18 holes with Davis Love, who was attending North Carolina at the time. I parred one of the 18 holes, and I've been hooked ever since. Marvin asks, aren't you good friends with Tiger Woods? Jordan replies, oh yeah, Tiger and I met about 8 years ago. It's ironic because he's in the same scenario from a marketing and business standpoint that I was when I came in the NBA. I've been able to answer some of his questions that he's had about dealing with certain things. Our friendship has grown since then, and we talk all the time about mental approach, dealing with the expectations from the public. And that's true. Tiger Woods was totally golf's Michael Jordan, and he made that sport a lot of money. Marvin asks, I can see where you have, from a personal standpoint, so much in common in your own respective areas. Have you ever joked around about him? Because a lot of people call him the Michael Jordan of golf. Don't we all? Especially back in 2005 when this was done. So how does he handle that? Marvin asks. Jordan replies, he's okay. He doesn't really look at it that way. I don't rub it in. I let him know that I am a bit older than him, and so I beat him to the punch. And that's the only thing it means. It's just a standard of measurement. When I came out, they said I was the Dr. J of the NBA until I earned my own. Very true. Marvin asked, another thing I'm really disappointed about, if my research is correct, is that you don't shoot craps. But I hear that you're a pretty good blackjack player. Is that true? Jordan replies, well, I lose, just like everybody else. Does that determine if you're good or not? I know the rules. Marvin replies, I spoke to a guy who shall remain nameless, who said to me that you are one of the few athletes that wins more than he loses. And when you're ahead, you know how to walk. And when you're behind, you know how to walk. You are a disciplined blackjack player, and he has a great deal of respect for you. See, that's interesting to me because I always heard from other people that Jordan won't walk away until he eventually wins. Let's see how Jordan replies. All right. So Jordan replies, "Is that one of those casino owners? Question mark. I'm not greedy. Gambling can initiate greed. You want more, or you want to get it back. You have to pick a number, and that's my number. It's all relative to what you feel comfortable with. Mine may vary from yours, and ours may vary from a lot of people. It doesn't take much to beat. It doesn't take much to beat my head in. Have I lost a lot? Sure. Have I won a lot? Sure. What's considered a lot? I have satisfied myself both ways. For me, that's my enjoyment." And that's true. You got to have a number. I've been on both ends of that when I was younger and I gambled a little bit in Vegas. And I had a number when I won. And I was like, all right, I'm dipping. And I enjoyed the rest of my night. And then I always had a number when I lost too, which was like $100. So it was like, if I lose this 100, I'm out. I'm walking. More times than not, I'd end up walking. All right, so Marvin continues. "I see there's a wine cellar in your house. Tell me about it. Is it your interest or your wife, Juanita's?" Jordan replies, "I am a grade C wine drinker or connoisseur. My wife is a B. She got me involved, although she's not the only person who got me interested. When I signed with Bijan Fragrances, I think is how you pronounce it, Mr. Bijan took me out one day and we had dinner. He had a bottle of 1961 Chateau Margaux." Sorry guys, it's not my class level to know how to pronounce this stuff. "And I fell in love with Bordeaux." Marvin laughs. Laughter. "That's not a C wine." Jordan replies, "Obviously, it's a top of the line. Granted that. Then I started getting more involved with Bordeaux. A good friend of mine, Mario Lemieux, I remember him from hockey, is a big-time wine drinker. I go to a lot of his golf tournaments." Wait, golf tournaments? All right, let me keep reading. "And he taught me how to go to Sotheby's and buy at auction. I do have a strong interest in wine, but my wife's is a lot stronger. She's taking classes and she goes to wine tastings and things of that nature. I'm not quite at that level because I like to do it on my own. I enjoy wine. I truly enjoy wine." And that's interesting. I've only ever really seen Jordan drinking a beer back when he played. And then I see him drink liquor all the time now. All right, so Marvin continues. "There is one wine story in the research I did. It's something about a meeting. It's something about a meeting you were having with David Falk, and you started ordering wine to shut him up." Jordan replies, "Yeah, we had a dinner meeting, and I couldn't get a word in. The meal was on his company bill. Anytime he orders wine or orders anything, he checks the price." But that night he was taking time out from what we were talking about to make sure about the price. So now I say, "Give me the most expensive wine," and he's picking up the tab. Then I say, "Every time you interrupt what we're talking about, I'm going to order another bottle." When I started ordering the 61s, I quieted him right down. And we got through the conversation. Is that a true story? Oh, wait. I'm sorry. He says that is a true story. Wow. I guess that's one way to shut up somebody if they keep interrupting you, huh? All right. Marvin asks, "Cigars? We're sitting here. We're smoking a Cuban Monty No. 2. Nothing wrong with that. I went through your humidor here. You have a great selection. When did you first get into cigars?" By the way, so now we know Jordan got into golf in '84. That was earlier than I ever thought he would, to be perfectly honest. I thought he would have gotten into it from somebody in basketball. but he was already doing it in North Carolina. All right, so to the cigar question, Jordan replies, I smoked my first cigar in 1991 when we won the championship. Okay. Up to that point, I had never smoked a cigar, never smoked anything. We won the championship, and Jerry Reinsdorf gave me one of his cigars. He's a big cigar smoker. Crazy. The next time I received a cigar was from my good friend Ahmad Rashad. He used to get these Churchills from Las Vegas that were dipped in rum. Whoa. I wouldn't smoke them, but I would sit there and chew on them. I got to the point where it became very relaxing. Okay. Sorry, I needed some water there. All right. In Chicago, I tell people this, and they have to understand the context of what happened. We had to be to the stadium at 6 o'clock for home games. When traffic was so bad that it would take us an hour and 15 or an hour and 30 minutes to drive. So now I'm sitting in a car for almost an hour and a half, and I'm very tense. I'm worried about the traffic. So I started smoking a cigar going to the games. In 1993, it became a ritual for every home game. Wow. All right. Marvin replies with, "What cigar?" Jordan's answer. At the time, I started out with Hoyo de Monterey Double Corona. Crazy how he remembers this stuff. Marvin asks, "That's a good hour smoke." Or he responds, "That's a good hour smoke." Jordan replies, "Taking my time, I never rushed. As soon as I walked in, Phil Jackson would say, 'Oh, you had a long drive.' It became such a relaxing thing to do. Not many people know about it. When they read this, they'll know that each and every day for a home game, I smoked a cigar. I wanted that feeling of success and relaxation, and it's the most relaxing thing." Yep. So Phil could tell how long of a drive it was for MJ, depending on how, the smell that he's smelling when he gets in there. So if he smells the harsh cigar smell, he's like, "Yep, long ride, huh?" All right. Marvin replies, "People don't understand. When I'm in the office and I have a problem, I light a cigar, and my mind expands, and I'm able to solve the problem." Jordan replies, "It's the most relaxing thing. Every time I get to a point where everything is coming at me, I would rather just sit back and smoke a cigar and relax." These two are definitely two peas in a pod, I'll tell you. All right. Marvin asked, "What are your favorite cigars today?" Jordan replies, Partagas Lusicianas. Sorry for the pronunciation. He says, "I love those. And I'm in love with all Cubans. I become a big Cuban cigar smoker. I gradually worked my way up from Las Vegas rum dipped to all different types." See, I don't know anything about cigars, so I've never heard of rum dip cigars. It's interesting. Seems like there's a whole world of cigar making out there that I'm unaware of. All right. Marvin asks, "What size cigar do you like?" Jordan replies, "Depending on the time, depends on the day, depends on what I'm doing. If I'm in a rush, I can go for a Robusto. Not that it's not going to be rushing, but it's smaller. Not that it's okay." Marvin asks, you ever have a Epicure number 2? Jordan replies, "Sure." Marvin asks, Partagas Serie D? Jordan says, "Sure. You've got me smoking these Monte Cristo number 2s, and these are so strong. If I hadn't had anything to eat, I wouldn't touch this. These are for the end of the night, and I'm getting ready for the end of the day. If I had to smoke a cigar that I can get through, that would be Esplendido. Esplendido, yeah. I can get through those. All right, Marvin replies. It says it looks like they're ending it with a lot of cigar questions, but it makes sense for the magazine. All right, Marvin asks. So today, when do you smoke? Jordan replies. I already smoked today. I went to work. I had a cigar on the way, fighting the traffic the whole way. Marvin asks, "What kind of cigar did you smoke this morning?" Jordan replies, "I had a Cohiba Siglo 3 or Siglo 2. Cohiba Siglo 2. Yeah, this is a struggle today." Marvin asks, "Have you ever been to a cigar factory?" Jordan replies, "No, it's my biggest dream to visit Cuba and visit some of these factories. Obviously, with the embargo, it's a little difficult." All right. Marvin says, Dominican Republic, Honduras, Nicaragua. Maybe we will have to take a tour. Jordan replies, "I'd love to go. I'm open. I have a strong interest. Don't ask me how many a day I smoke." What was it? In the more recent interview they did on video, I think Jordan said he smoked 6 a day, if I'm not mistaken. So let's see where this goes. Excuse me. All right, Marvin replies with, I don't tell people how many I smoke a day either. Arnold Schwarzenegger, I believe we can describe him as a successful actor, huge cigar guy. Now he's the governor of California. 2005, huh? He was the governor. Jordan replies, No, not interested." Real quick tidbit, everybody. I saw that on the same YouTube channel. There's a long sit-down interview with Arnold Schwarzenegger in the same format as Jordan. Would you guys be interested in that? Because I'm interested on my own. So if there's enough of you out there who would also like to see that interview, I know it has nothing to do with basketball, but still, it's our generation. Anyways, let me know in the comments. All right. Continuing on. I think it was like an hour-long interview. And I guarantee you, if we watch it, like, we'll hear Arnold say "stogie" at least once, and I love it. He's like, "Stogie." All right. So, Mr. Marvin asks, have you ever in your weakest moment thought about going into politics? Jordan replies, "No, I haven't had a strong passion for politics." Marvin asked, "What do you think about public people in important positions who smoke, including the current president of the United States, who doesn't want people to know? But then there are guys like Arnold, who built a tent behind the Capitol building behind Sacramento so he could smoke. And there's Rudy Giuliani. It's a pleasure of his, obviously. You don't think anything wrong with smoking a cigar, a fine cigar. But what about other people who enjoy cigars and aren't willing to at least acknowledge that?" By the way, that tent is real. I've seen pictures of it, seen videos of it from Arnold. Yeah, when he was governor, he had a smoke tent outside, and he said that's where he would conduct most of his like face-to-face, talks with people when he was discussing like whatever he had to discuss for the city or for the state, which I think is crazy, but it's true. Let's see. So Jordan replies to that, "Yeah, I think about it. I put myself in that position early on because of the negative influence that it is perceived to be. Drinking is too. A lot of people drink." Marvin continues, "But wine today is more accepted." And Jordan replies with something I'm going to totally agree with, "But alcohol is alcohol, no matter how you look at it. I've come to grips with it. However, and even sitting down to talk with you is part of my decision. I'm stepping away from that public image, from that other self that's been around for so many years. These are the things that I enjoy. These are the passions that help me get from point A to point B. the relaxation that I get from it. Jordan continues, certain people may not want to know that. That's one of the reasons why I'm doing this with your magazine. It's not, I'm not endorsing anything or telling kids they should pick up cigar smoking or drinking beer. These are things that I enjoy. This is my passion. There's some of the things that I like to do. Jordan continues, at some point, you have to take your life back from the public to enjoy it. Well said. And I'm at that stage where now I'm taking my life back from the public and doing things that I enjoy doing, like motorcycle riding, which I couldn't do because I had this situation with my contracts and my commitments to the game. But I grew up riding a motorcycle, and now I'm doing more things like that, and I'm enjoying myself. He continues on. People have to understand that I'm still a person, and there are things that I enjoy doing. Yes, I enjoy working with kids and giving them positive things to think about, and how we get from where they are to where they want to be. But that doesn't mean that I can't be the person that I want to be and do the things I want to do. Marvin says, that's so important. Basically, you're saying, I'm going private, being true to myself. And Jordan replies, exactly. And that's it. That's it. Wow, what a good interview. What a good interview. It cut off. It cut off without a goodbye. But that's a good message at the end there. Basically, Jordan's, he knows he can't get out of the public eye, so he's got to kind of keep to himself and just do the things he wants to do. And I can't blame him. Woo! Man. I don't even know what to say about that. I can't believe we got to the end. I remember when I first saw this article, once again, thanks to the help of the community here, I saw the article and I scrolled all the way down to the bottom, and I'm like, oh my God, this is long. And I'm somebody who struggles with public reading, not public speaking, but public reading. Reading is a nightmare for me in public. If it's private and I'm reading to myself, that's no problem. But reading out loud has always, since grade school, has been one of my worst fears. So when I saw this, I was trying to think of any other way outside of me reading this that I could pull this off. But I'm like, no, I just have to go through this because we needed this interview. Like I definitely needed this interview. I didn't know it existed, and then to be able to find it so fast, like I was so excited to share this with you all. So hopefully I did okay with the reading out loud thing. Was definitely out of my comfort zone, but hopefully it wasn't too bad. I want to thank all of you for watching this, especially if you watched all 3 parts. This has been some of my favorite stuff because it's not actually a reaction video. This is like straight up, like, this is a good interview. This was a really good interview, especially part 1 and part 2. So if you guys just came in and checked this one out, definitely check part 1 and part 2. Part 3 here seemed to be more about cigars, while part 1 and part 2 was more about Jordan life, and it had a lot of good stuff in it. So anyways, everyone, like I always do, I'm linking the original article down below. I want to thank you all for watching. Please leave this video a like to push it out to the algorithm, get more eyes on it, because I'll tell you what, I'm not reading this all over again. It's not happening a second time. All right, guys, like the video, comment down below so we have a good conversation about this, and subscribe to the channel if you want more content like this. Peace out, everybody. I'll see you tomorrow for some normal content, okay? We'll get back to reactions. All right, peace out.